Morning YouTube. Today on $1,000 we're going to be reviewing some new headlight bulbs for my B5.5 Passat. Full disclosure, I have never installed any kind of LED bulbs before in any of my vehicles. Now these are H7 bulbs, as designated from the side of the box, and they look quite interesting. This is the box you would receive in the mail. Maluokasa. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Inside the box is a small bit of foam to protect the ends. We're gonna go ahead and just take one of them out because they both look identical. At first, I was like, what is this? I've never seen a bulb like this before. And you can see all the little LEDs on the side. So it's got 4 sides and then the normal connector to help it install into the car just like any other normal bulb would. This is what kind of freaked me out at first. Having this kind of end on it, it almost looks like I could plug it into the wall socket. But we're not gonna do that. On the back of the bulb, there's a little fan to keep all the LEDs cool. I'm guessing they put out some heat. The box also comes with a little instruction booklet, which tells you in any kind of application how to install them, whether you need to remove this special clip or not. Now this wouldn't be any kind of good review if we didn't have the before shots. So future Andrew, let's cut to that action. Here we are, it's nighttime. We need to drive around so I can show you what these headlights look like at night, and also find a building that we can drive up against so that I can show you how powerful they are in stock form. Here we are, cruising along. From my eyes, it looks like my headlights can project about 20 feet in front of me, which is not very much. Most of these streetlights, as you can see, are brighter than my own headlights. Here, we'll come up to another one up here, and you'll see my headlight line, once it meets the bulb from the street lamp, will basically wash away. And it's gone. So basically the street lights are brighter than my current headlights. This is what highway driving is like here. I can see some brighter lights coming up, which is from a gas station. But yeah, it's not too great. You can see this, I hope. Just about every car that goes past me has brighter headlights than me. And I just recently cleaned the front of these lenses so that they're performing much better than they were. I tried to find a wall with very little ambient light around, and this is what I ended up with. So we're trying to gauge how bright my stock headlights are right now. I'll tell you though, they look a lot brighter in the video than they do in person. Let's go get an outside view. Now that we're outside, here's how yellow my headlights are. The nose of the car is about a foot away, and that's what we want to try and recreate tomorrow. I'm trying to let the light adjust to the camera as much as possible, so when I pan over to the wall, you'll see it start to get brighter. That's the camera trying to take in more light. This yellow is what the lights actually look like. Now let's do the pan. You see how dim they are? Now the camera is auto-adjusting to try and pick up more light. This is now a false representation of how bright the headlights are. I had to try and get one more view. This is basically where I'm sitting, looking through. And you can tell that there's some lights far off in the distance. Those are houses, and they're not that far away. It just looks like they are. So there are no street lights on this road that I'm driving on. And now it is 9:02 at night. So this is what I've been used to driving with for almost a year now. I hope these new bulbs are amazing. Now the next thing we need to do is install the new bulbs. Let's go ahead and cut to the next day. Whoosh. Whew, wasn't that comprehensive. Anyway, here we are back at the car, and now it's time to install the new bulbs. First thing we do in the 2004 B5.5 Passat is pop the hood. I'll be starting with the driver's side because it's honestly easier to get to. We're only going to be replacing the low beams on my car, as because they are used most frequently. First thing we need to do is pull up this small plastic shroud. I think we need to remove this cap before doing so. If not, I'll look like a total fool. And I'm a total fool. Or am I? Haha! We're going to go ahead and put that cap back on so no other contaminants get inside the power steering reservoir. Down here, you'll see a protective cap. We're going to go ahead and remove that. And that's going to show us where our bulb is located. I'm not sure if you can see it. We're gonna try and get a closer look at it, but my wires seem to be very frayed. This is probably to be expected because my car now has over 200,000 miles on it. Usually taking off these bulbs is just a matter of turning it counterclockwise, say a quarter turn, and then they pop right out. Let's see if that's the case. Yes, it is. Ah! Here's our bulb. It actually looks to be very new. So this should be a better comparison between whatever this bulb is and the new bulbs. It looks like the next thing I need to do is get a flathead screwdriver, because I don't think I have the finger strength to pry this clip apart. Go ahead, pry up underneath one side, try and force it out just a little bit, move over to the back side of it, and repeat the process. And there we have it. You can see the two socket receivers that the new LED light will plug into. Here we have the new LED bulb, but as you can see, I need to keep the retainer clip that came off of it. So I'm going to keep them in the same orientation, and hopefully I can slide one right over the other. This metal retaining clip does not fit over the light assembly. I don't want to force it just yet, so we're going to try installing the bulbs without it. No idea if this is going to work, so join me, won't you? Also, it's a very tight working space in here. I'm really hoping these go in without a fight. It's as I feared. The bulbs do go in, but without that clip they have nothing to lock onto. We're going to go ahead and very carefully remove this bulb again, and now we have to find a way to make that other clip work with it. We can also try removing its own retainer clip and installing that, but then there's, I don't think, anything for it to clip onto. Let's try it anyway. Who knows, maybe I'm overcomplicating this for no reason. There's nothing for it to snap into. Okay, so we're gonna have to go and modify that metal bracket so that it can fit the light assembly. There are extra collars throughout the process that you can remove to make your life a little bit easier. It should be noted that before I continue, extensive modification had to be done to the factory clip in order to make this work. I think we are finally at the reassembly process. It should snap in place just like your stock one did. Because my brackets have been tweaked ever so slightly, just a little bit more force is required to do so. Now that the bulb is twisted back in place, it's time to plug it back in and then put the cover boot over top of it. I don't think this is going to work anymore, but at least we should be able to plug it in and see if it works. We're going for brown is negative. Hey, it's a light! Just as a daytime comparison, here is the yellow bulb, the old bulb from the passenger side, and here is the new Maluokasa LED bulb. Huge whiteness difference. Let's go ahead and get the passenger side bulb in. Before I continue, it should be noted that this cover will no longer fit. One, because of size restriction and the size of the cord, but two, because that fan is already pretty hot. There's no way I would cover up airflow going to it if you want these LED bulbs to have any sort of lifespan. The passenger side looks like it's going to require a little bit more effort to get the plastic trim off to get to the back of the bulb. That was easy. And what do we got here? Good old accordion piece. I should probably change the filter in this thing soon. Here's why. One, because I've never changed it. And two, look at all those leaves. I'm not sure if this is enough room to get back here or not. It's definitely not giving me a ton of confidence. Here's the other boot. Same process. Quarter turn, move, pull out. But we are right next to another, looks like a large ground lead on this side. Well, at least getting the bulbs out is fairly simple. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna have to modify this clip just like we did the other one. So we're all done. Now it's time for the reassembly process. Gonna move this plug out of the way. Gently try and feed it through, but remembering where our lock-in points are. This one's a little bit harder for me to get to, so I'm gonna use a screwdriver to cheat. All I need to do is have it flat up against it and then to push down on the one locking pin. There we go. This is all locked in. I go ahead and plug the negative side into the brown side. They are labeled on the new bulbs, so that makes it very easy. And go ahead and fit my air box back together. I'm sure when you do this all the time, it gets really, really easy. Which way did this go? That way? That way? That way? Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn the car on one more time. See how they look in the daylight. It's a little hard to tell in the daylight. Let's get a little bit closer. You can see one of the driving light bulbs is still on, but look at that new bulb. You can tell on this side that I'm missing that driving light bulb. So that concludes our daytime test and install. What we need to do now is wait for night, which should be instantaneous for you, where we will pick up our next part of the review. This might be too much time travel for one episode, but you know what? I don't care. Boy, they're so bright! They're too bright. Wow, this is tough to look at. They're actually pretty blinding. My eyes can't take it, so let's hit the road. This is a huge difference. It almost looks like I'm filming it earlier on at night, like, you know, 7 o'clock, 7:30, but it's not. It's the same time as it was yesterday. These lights are so much brighter. The camera definitely isn't doing it justice. My headlights are now brighter than the street lights. We definitely saw that in the earlier comparison. Alright, let's keep going. Driving on the highway also greatly improved. One, the new beams are so much wider than before. I think that's just because of their new brightness level. Two, my lights are finally brighter than the people in front of me. Here we are, basically the same spot as yesterday, and as you can tell, it is much, much whiter. Woo-wee. Let's get that slow pan again. Now we're gonna head off to that really dark road that we were on yesterday. So here we are again on that same section of road with no streetlights. I think what impresses me the most is the width of where this lights up. It's lighting up both sides of the road, which is great. Like, I can finally see what's going on around me. Otherwise, they're very good. I mean, honestly, I wasn't too impressed with the installation process. I don't like messing with factory clips. They did have to be modified in order to work. Other than that, everything was really straightforward. You almost don't even need instructions to go with it. But I would definitely recommend these. I'm very surprised because this was my first LED mod, if you will, and it went really smoothly. But yeah, I can actually see when I drive now, which is really nice. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You know, I really appreciate that. If you'd like to get a set of these bulbs for yourself, go ahead and look in the description below. I'll have a listing for the Amazon page where you can buy a set for yourself. Honestly, for $40, I think these are a really good deal. That's gonna wrap up this episode of $1,000 Car Guy. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one. I can't get over how bright these things are. I mean, this is outside at night. It is actually 9:07. Look at this beautiful greenery.